Some Christians say that counseling is a sign of a weak faith, or that you're trading biblical wisdom for human ideas, or that if you really trusted God, then, or you get the idea. Is there something to those concerns, or are those people missing out on a God-given resource? That's what we're diving into today on Groundwork. My guest is Kris Anderson, founder and clinical director at Building Bridges Christian Counseling. Kris has helped people like couples, families, and individuals work through all kinds of struggles, some of the hardest struggles of life, and always bringing biblical truth alongside proven psychological methods. So, Kris, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Kris, you've probably seen it all. And there's some Christians that run to counseling as soon as they need it, and some avoid it completely. Why do you think there's such a difference of opinion when it comes to going to get help when they need it?
I think a lot of the reason is that it's just hard to think about going to a stranger and talking about very personal things. I think when you are, if your culture or your family or other thing did not value counseling, it may not be the first thing you go to. And I think that a lot of people can get the same benefit from just having a close friend that they can sit down and talk openly with. Because people tend to go into two camps. They either tell nobody or they tell everybody. And it's like, okay, you need one or two friends that you can really be open with and you can really talk deeply about what's going on in your soul. And for many people, that's really all they need. For some people, when they come into counseling, they just want one or two appointments, bounce a few ideas back and forth, and then they're good. And then other people wait until they're really due for the whole overhaul.
Sure.
And their life is falling apart, and they're now finally ready. And so somewhere in between, and usually when people come in, one of the first things I'll ask them is, how will you know when it's time to not come back to counseling anymore? Because we should have an idea in our head so that we are both working towards the same goal, which means there has to be a goal. And so if it's an individual person and it's like, my goal is to have a good marriage, well, I can't, because there are other people involved, I can't make you have a good marriage, but I can make you a better husband, right? So if your desire is to be a better husband, and hopefully your wife will respond to that, no guarantees, but do you want to be closer to God? Do you want to be more wise and thoughtful? Do you want to have better boundaries? Let's figure out what this looks like so that we'll know when we're done and we can both be working in the same direction.
It's so refreshing to hear that it's not always, it doesn't have to be this nebulous forever thing.
Yeah.
I would imagine that brings some shape to those conversations and some movement.
It really helps because then if we have a goal, we're able to work towards that goal. And it doesn't just end up being a conversation. We're not there to chat. We're there to have a movement in your life. And so for people to be more at peace in their self, in their own heart, to be closer to God, to be more effective in ministry, to have more joy, to be able to parent better. It comes from a place of being able to recognize what they're feeling, deal in a really thoughtful way about their feelings, and to move their life forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so we need to know what that direction is. So we need to be talking about that right from the beginning.
You're connecting dots for me. Even as you're talking, I'm thinking of different friends that I've had and then my experience in counseling and how I've needed both of them.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where my friends are saying, all right, Mike, we've called and you've dumped on me and we're good with that. But there have been times in my life where they said, we need to call in the big guns.
Right.
I'm here to listen to you. I can't, you need tools that I don't have. And it helped having a counselor where there was a purpose, and it actually kept me from using as many words.
Right. There you go.
And someone to say, I'm not your buddy. I don't have to listen to you. Hey, stop that. let's explore this little trailhead over here.
Right.
So thank you for that. That
Yeah.
is free counseling, I guess.
There you go. But one term you hear a lot is that I was triggered.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that
I hear that a lot these days.
means that I had a profound emotional reaction that was too big for the moment. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is a 3 on a 10 scale, and I'm at an 8. And why am I at an 8?
Yeah.
And the difference between that 3 and that 8 is usually history. Mm-hmm. And it might be history with that specific person, or it might be your history somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And so some things in history we can just leave alone. They're dead, they're buried, they're good. Mm-hmm. Other things are the walking dead, and they keep coming back up, and it keeps affecting me, and I keep getting triggered, and I keep getting, too angry, too sad, too scared, too hurt, too offended. Mm-hmm. And how do I manage that and keep that down in a place? Mm-hmm. Because if I am anxious, I can't be wise. Mm-hmm. And I need to be able to access wisdom. Mm-hmm. We all have this stockpile of wisdom that we've accumulated from Scripture and from sermons and our family and our personal experiences. But when I'm anxious, I want to jump out the nearest door, not the wisest door.
So true.
So I have to be able.
How well do you know me?
I have to be able to calm my own heart down and catch my breath and pray for wisdom, and then truly seek the thing that's going to give me the best outcome. Mm-hmm. And so when I can't do that, sometimes I need to explore my history some to figure out what's tripping me up.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I'm so grateful for that process. And in your particular context, you do Christian counseling. It's in the name. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us? Maybe there's some of our folks that aren't familiar that there is even such a thing as Christian counseling.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that don't believe there is such a thing. And I think that it is the Venn diagram where you've got theology.
I love Venn diagrams. You're speaking my language.
And you've got psychology, and you've got definitely have some of psychology that is outside of what we believe as Christians.
Sure.
And so if it agrees with what we believe, then there's some valid truth in there. And if it goes against that, then we need to kind of set that aside. Mm-hmm. But there is enough overlap that it really can help us understand how to do relationships better. Mm-hmm. I mean, places where psychology and theology agree would be like forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only a biblical principle, and apparently, according to Matthew 18, very close to God's heart.
Right.
But also it fills us with rage and sadness and bitterness and all these things. And psychology would agree, if you don't figure out a way to let that go, then you're going to be emotionally tied to that person or that situation for the rest of your life. And so how do I, thoughtfully, prayerfully let that go so that I can really become, who I'm supposed to be? Because if it's having an effect on my relationships, my marriage, my parenting, and also my ministry, I need to be able to use the resources I have to be able to get healed and to move forward in my life. So there's a self-sabotage that goes on with that. So with Christian counseling, the Holy Spirit really has tremendous power for healing. And he doesn't just want to be the God of our intellect, he also wants to be the God of our feelings. And so when you're looking at Scripture, and whenever they talk about your heart, they're talking about your emotions. Your soul is your mind, will, and emotions. The Bible doesn't disregard those, but many times people think, all I need to do is think differently and I'm going to be okay. And it's like, well, can I actually feel differently? Because there can be healing for my emotions. If I can do things that can wound my emotions, then I can also do things that heal my emotions. Because you think about worship, that when you're in worship and it's a song that you don't like and you don't really connect to, and you're just kind of sitting there, waiting for it to end and seeing who's walking in. And then there's another song that really meets you there. and you feel connected and you kind of drop your guard, you step into it, and you feel God's presence.
Yeah.
Well, at that moment, you feel all your anxiety leave. And you get a lot of people that just come to church and they just cry through worship
Yeah.
every week for a year.
Yeah.
And it's healing
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And so how do we come to God for emotional healing as well as just understanding, how to live the Christian life? How do I feel different?
Yeah.
When a pastor starts his sermon, tells a section of the Bible and the background and the Greek and the Hebrew, but then he tells a story. And
when it
that
clicks.
story pulls us in and then makes us want to do the thing that he's trying to get into our souls. And so I have to be able to emotionally buy in. And so there's, a real overlap of our thoughts, our feelings, and spiritually, that this process God wants to bring us through is a process that's going to lead us towards healing and peace.
Yeah.
When you look at the human brain, the outside part of the brain, the wrinkly part, the neocortex, that's our thinking brain, our planning brain, our executive function brain. That's the part of our brain that signs us up for a gym membership on January 1st, but it's not the part of our brain that's in charge of us ever going to the gym.
Wow.
The reason why we didn't go to the gym is because we didn't feel like going to the gym. And our feelings are down in our limbic system in our midbrain. And unless our feelings are engaged, we're not going to do the thing our brain plans for us to do. And so often that's where the disconnect is. I know I should read my Bible. I know I should participate in ministry. I know I should do these things, but then I don't. Why don't I? And often it's something that I know will bless me as well as God working through me to bless others, but I don't. I know I should be nice to my wife. I know I should be more patient with my kids. Why don't I? And so again, it's the feelings that get underneath that are the ones that are really going to give us success or failure as we go over and over again. So we don't want to just circle the same tree over and over. We want somehow to break the log jam and to be able to live life different.
And that's what turns my switch on when when I see life change in someone who's been circling that same tree 6 months, 6 years, 60 years.
Yeah.
But it's not like a formula for me. I used to do the formula of I'll meet with somebody, I will pray with them and recommend a book, and then I'm going to cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Right.
Can you tell me, I know everybody's different, but if you're face to face with someone who's in the tree circling part of their life with a habit, behavior, attitude, hurt, what are what can they expect when they go and visit with a counselor?
Yeah.
What does that process look like of figuring out?
Well, and how do you disrupt somebody just repeating the same cycle over and over again? So if I have a couple and they will often start down the road of conflict the way they've done it in the past. And I don't let people fight in my office.
Okay.
There's no point in it. You can do that at home.
You do that for free.
That's right. You don't need my help for that.
So good.
And so, but you see somebody starting to get wound up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, wait a second. What are you feeling right now? Emotionally? Because you're trying to exchange data and you're trying to be heard. But in order for two people to understand each other, they both have to have a calm spirit and an open heart. And so otherwise you have two people talking and nobody's listening. And chances are if one of them stops and goes, I feel frustrated, I feel mad, I feel hurt, I feel misunderstood. And then you go to the other person and almost certainly they're feeling exactly the same thing. And it's like, okay, when we're in relationship with somebody, we want them to feel what we're feeling. If I'm happy, I want you to be happy too. If I'm mad, I'll make you mad. If I'm scared, I want you to be scared with me. And so it's like when you understand that as much as you are suffering, they are also suffering. And can we understand each other's suffering? Mm-hmm. And can we hear each other, that even if I disagree with you, I need to know how you think.
Yeah.
So just slowing people and trying to derail it before they just follow the same pattern over and over again, mm-hmm. and become more aware of not only what they're doing, but why they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Because there's a meaning for it. There's mm-hmm. a reason why they went to that place.
That's got to be so helpful, instead of just you're on autopilot and 15 minutes later the fight feels familiar and you're thinking, well, I know how this...
Here we are again.
Okay, so it's have an outside voice mm-hmm. to disrupt those patterns. That resonates.
Well, in the book Love and Respect, Emerson Eggerichs, great video series, great book. Mm-hmm. People often read it the wrong way.
Okay.
It's right. He will read it saying, see, you're not respecting me the way I deserve to be respected.
I did that the first time I read it, yeah.
And she'll look at it, see, you're not loving me the way I deserve to be loved. Mm-hmm. And when she recognizes that if he's getting distant and rejecting and angry, she should check in with herself and go, was I disrespectful in the way that I responded to him? Mm-hmm. For him, if he sees his wife becoming disrespectful, mm-hmm. is she feeling unloved and unsafe? Mm-hmm. And what did I do mm-hmm. that made her feel unloved and unsafe? Mm-hmm. Because I can't change her, but I can change me. And so if they both examine themselves, because we're all going to stand before God as individuals, mm-hmm. right? And so mm-hmm. if you call me a name and then I punch you in the face, mm-hmm. I'm not going to be able to stand before God and say, well, he called me a name, right? I'm just going to have to say, yes, I did it. Mm-hmm. And you're going to stand before God for calling me a name. Mm-hmm. And so if we can separate out our sin, our patterns, and I can work on me, then if one person changes within a system, the system will change for good or bad. Mm-hmm. And so you hope both people will be willing to start moving towards health.
Yeah.
But sometimes one person has to move first to give the other one hope. Mm-hmm. And so can it be me? Mm-hmm. Can I be the one who's willing to change first, even if they don't change?
Ooh. Yeah. Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Beautiful when it happens.
Yeah. I love 12-step jargon.
Okay.
And so part of 12-step is writing your inventory, your fearless inventory.
Right.
And it's like we want to write each other's inventory rather than me recognizing. So good. And so can I keep my own side of the street clean?
Right.
Whether or not you keep your side of the street clean.
Right.
I just need to get up and do my part. And that's really a faith walk. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm doing it counting on you to change, you're not going to change nearly fast enough. And then I'm going to lose hope and I'm going to stop. But if I do it to please my Father in heaven, mm-hmm. he will sustain me. My mm-hmm. relationship with him will keep me going, and I can keep doing it because this is my ministry. Mm-hmm. So it's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah. This is so helpful. And I'd love to take a second for you to speak mm-hmm. to some of our listeners that may be in that phase where they're triggered or they've mm-hmm. found themselves, I'm here again.
Right.
How would someone know when it's time to seek some counseling?
Whether or not they can handle it on their own.
Okay.
If their own awareness of it is enough to facilitate the change, then great. But if they keep doing the same thing over and over again, they can't seem to get out of the pattern. Because typically when I'm triggered, I look outside instead of inside. Mm-hmm. You ticked me off. You won't shut up. Mm-hmm. You didn't do what I told you to do. And I'm always looking outside. And if you change, I will feel better. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. If instead I look inside of me mm-hmm. and just be curious. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a really big reaction for what's going on right here. Mm-hmm. What the heck just happened? Mm-hmm. And can I examine it and understand it? And understand my relationship with that person, what pressure I'm under, what I'm feeling, and maybe even kind of think back, have I felt this before? Mm-hmm. I remember feeling this in fourth grade, standing in front of the chalkboard, not knowing the answer, and feeling humiliated, right? And it's like I go back in time, my mind will connect it to something. But I won't have that aha moment if I don't look inside instead of just trying to control what's going on outside of me. And so often it's kind of training people for what to do when this happens. And then you let them go out and live their life for a while, and then they come back, how did it work? And let's check in, and it works here, but it doesn't work here. Well, let's try this. You start giving people strategies and motives, and you start giving them permission to do things that help them deal with life better. Often they don't give themselves permission to take some time off, to do things they enjoy, to get enough sleep, to be able to eat well and exercise, to be able, that all I do is outgoing and nothing is incoming.
That's not sustainable.
And somehow I need to be able to recognize, what do I need, and be able to fulfill in a godly way some of those needs. That's why, say like a woman going through a divorce, she needs to activate the girlfriend network. She needs people on her side. She needs people praying for her, people who care for her.
Whole tribe.
She needs rest. She needs love. She needs somebody to talk to. She needs a lot of good things. And if she's got this, group around her, then she's going to get more healing and may or may not need counseling. But if she finds that she's still really struggling, or it's been a really long time, or even she's going some destructive places, then she might need a little bit of outside input to kind of help her, kind of stay in the safe place.
Yeah, that makes sense. And a few minutes ago, you mentioned the term overhaul.
Yes.
And I was thinking, she may need a tune-up, or if it's been a while, it may need an overhaul.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people for marriages, because I love the Boundaries books with Cloud and Townsend.
Oh, yeah, classic.
And so if a couple wanted to improve their marriage, and they got a good relationship book, and they took time to go out on dates, and they took time to read a relationship book or watch the Emerson Eggerich videos or do something, and they'd sit down and talk with those, talk about those, and then they would do a lot of the work we do in counseling themselves, but they won't set the time aside to do it. Sometimes they have to pay somebody in order to take it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you need a little skin in the game.
It's a different mindset of how to deal with life. And if you really internalize these books, you're not going to do life the same way. And you're going to be able to be much more in control of what comes in and out of your thoughts and your heart and your head and your home in order to kind of have more order. And so it's not unloving, because many people think that boundaries are an offensive weapon. And it's not. If I'm doing this to change somebody else, that's manipulation, that's pressure, it's something else. If I'm just doing it to transform myself, now it's a boundary. And so how do I change? And so I might have someone who parents are alcoholics. And so I'm not going to fantasize I can make them not drink. And so instead, if I call them first thing in the morning, I'll get them before they really get started, and we'll be able to have a nice conversation.
Now you're talking.
If they call me at 9 o'clock at night, I ain't picking up the phone.
Yeah.
And so
or the text at midnight, or yeah.
So rather than fantasizing I can change them, I'm going to change my behavior so that I get access to the good parts of them and protect myself from the bad parts of them.
So how does someone know they've gone to counseling? How do they know if it's working?
You should be able to tell. And you should be able to tell because your life is working. You're thinking differently, you're feeling differently, that your relationships are working, you have more peace. And many people will say, it's not working, so therefore I need to stop counseling. And if you're with a counselor that you connect with and you feel like it's worthwhile, don't just jump ship. Go back to them. Go back to them at 4 weeks and 8 weeks and 12 weeks and say, okay, what progress are we making and how do we know? And so one
Fair
of the
enough.
things
Yeah.
I will often tell people more than once is there's 168 hours in a week. I get you for an hour. You're in charge of the other 167 hours. And what are you doing to make your life better? What are you doing to make your marriage better? What are you doing? And do you know what you're supposed to be doing in between counseling appointments? Because if you don't have a clear direction, then how do you know if you're doing it, your life's getting better? And so many times we kind of have to circle back and remember where we started and what our initial goals are. Because if you're in it and it's 2 years in and you're in exactly the same place, yeah, it's time to go to a different counselor, to come back to this counselor and say, what the heck? Or something. Because there's something that's holding it up and you should see progress.
So for our listeners, what is one piece of advice you would give them about counseling?
As far as not just whether or not to go to counseling, but it's more about what do I need to do to improve my life. Counseling may or may not be part of that. And so looking at my life as a whole, emotionally and physically and cognitively, and my thoughts, my spiritual life, my connection to God, my ministry, because we should not just be consumers in our faith. We should be giving out. God should be working through us to bless others who can't possibly pay us back. So it's not just to your family, but God wants to use us in a bigger way. My physical health and the healthy lifestyle I have, my relationships, and my life circumstances and whether they're in control. So when you're laying in bed looking at the ceiling, are you feeling peace? Or are you troubled by things on all different sides? And how do I get to that place where I feel like I'm in where I need to be, and I may not have any of these things solved, but I'm moving in a good direction. And if I'm stuck, then how do I get unstuck? And so what does unstuck look like? And do I need to read books, watch videos, go to a friend, talk to my pastor, go to counseling, but what do I need to do to get unstuck in this area of my life that I just can't get overcome?
I like that simplifies it and not it's almost like what's the next right thing.
Yes.
That's kind of a popular language, but so many of us are trying to eat the elephant all at once.
Right.
And just staring at the ceiling, overwhelmed. So at Solid Ground, we're so grateful that we have someone like you that we can recommend our folks to go and see and to is the next right step. If they're not familiar, if our listeners aren't familiar with your work yet, how can they get in contact with you?
Probably the easy way would be the website, buildingbridgescc.com, Building Bridges Christian Counseling.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to anyone who calls.
All right, and we'll put all of that in the show notes. You've seen it on the screen. And in the meantime, if you'd like to learn more about Solid Ground Church, visit us online at sgbic.com. And don't stop there. Like and subscribe wherever you're consuming this podcast, and share an episode with others so they can join in the conversation. That makes this so much better because we want to hear from you. Drop your questions or topic ideas for further episodes of Groundwork. I would love it if your voice shapes this podcast. We'll see you again soon.